I'm so excited to share with you my review of a completely new watercolor paper, Wailua by Ohuhu. The Wailua paper actually holds an official Invention patent, thanks to its unique design. In addition, it's also FSC certified and eco-friendly, so it's truly one of a kind. The special thing about it is that one side is made from cotton pulp and the other from wood pulp. And of course, I'll be testing both of them. You might recall my previous video where I tested Ohuhu's Halawa colored pencils, and back then I wasn't allowed to discuss the paper yet. But now I finally can, as Wailua has officially been released this year, and it also comes both in a hot-pressed and a cold-pressed version, which is perfect for a mixed media artist like me. And if you want to purchase this paper, you can find it on Amazon or their website, and I have included a link to it in my video description for you. And while I test the paper, I'll also share some of my favorite mixed media techniques with you. So if you're interested in that too, definitely stay and watch the video until the end. And of course, a big thank you to Ohuhu for sponsoring this video. So let's get into it. Unlike regular watercolor paper, both sides are fully usable. No wrong side to accidentally grab. The cotton side is absorbent and quick drying, perfect for smooth blending and techniques like wet on wet or glazing. The wood pulp side flows more slowly, creating watermarks, staining and textured effects. Great for experimenting. It's also slightly smoother, which is why I chose it for my portrait. Just as a heads up, I only tested the hot-pressed paper, because I honestly never work with cold-pressed. I just don't know which techniques I'd need to test on it to find out what makes a good or bad cold-pressed paper. And I don't want to talk about something I do not know enough about. So in this video, I am only showing you the hot-pressed version, but I tested that one very thoroughly. I tested both the cotton side and the wood side, using my Schminke watercolors. Both sides handled the paint really well. The colors looked bright and vibrant, and the paint went on smoothly and evenly on both surfaces. You can clearly see the texture here. It is not as smooth as the Hahnemühle, the collection paper that I normally use, but it still feels very nice to paint on. Overall, the two sides are quite similar, but there are a few small differences. The cotton side has a little more texture, so the edges of the paint spread out slightly more. The wood side has a bit less texture, and the colors dried a little softer, which is the main reason I chose it for my portrait. Both sides give you beautiful results. So in the end, it really comes down to what you personally like. I also tested masking fluid, and I was honestly impressed. Masking fluid can often damage the paper when you remove it, but on the Wailua pad it came off completely cleanly. So if you use masking fluid often, that is definitely something worth knowing. And now that I have finished those swatches, let's move on to an actual portrait. By the way, if you want to learn my mixed media technique properly and watch the full process breakdown of this portrait, step by step, with an extended narrated tutorial, just join me on Patreon. This is where I can really see how the paper performs and what it is capable of. And with the masking fluid working so well with the paper, I seized the opportunity and started to mask off a few areas, like for example the butterflies. By the way, as always, I printed my reference directly onto the watercolor paper instead of tracing it with charcoal paper. I just find it so much easier this way, because if I mess it up, I can simply start over and print it again without wasting too much time. Luckily, this one worked out fine, so I didn't have to start over. For the first layers, I laid down a few light washes, mainly beige, orange and pink tones for the skin, and some blues and greens in the background. Since the highlights were masked, I could paint right over them without worrying, which made it really easy to just play around with the colors. After letting it dry, you could already see how nicely the watercolor reacted with the paper. On the cheek, for example, there was a soft, natural effect, and the background developed delicate, abstract textures. The effects are very subtle, unlike the paper I usually work with, and I really like that about the Wailua paper. Once the first wash was dry, I added several more layers on the face, and it turned out that paper was very forgiving. For instance, at one point the red on the lip bled out a little, but it dried with a soft transition. On other papers I usually work with, that kind of mistake would stay much harsher. After the first layers, I decided to draw the eye right away, because I was curious to see how the paper would react to colored pencils. And I was honestly surprised. Even though the texture was a little rougher than my Hahnemühle matte paper, it still worked really well with my colored pencil layering technique. So here is one of the techniques I really wanted to show you. I had already worked quite a bit into all those layers and built up a lot of pigment, the kind you really cannot remove anymore, even with a strong eraser. And then I realized that I had pretty much messed up the eyelashes. I drew them way too thick, and honestly, they started looking like spider legs. Just horrible. Normally, you might think, okay, I completely ruined it. I have to throw the whole painting away now. But look what I'm doing here. I'm mixing a bit of thin gouache paint and applying several layers on top of all that colored pencil area. Then I take my colored pencils again and very carefully redraw the lashes on top of the gouache. And this time I actually use a reference, so I don't mess them up again. And this is basically one of my quote-unquote famous correction techniques. I even sometimes get comments saying I'm not actually good with watercolors because I correct so much. But I think knowing how to fix things is part of being good at it too. And this adding and correcting method actually is very close to classical oil painting techniques. This is what you learn when you paint alla prima, for example. And I noticed this over and over again, that my oil painting techniques heavily influence my watercolor practice. This is also why I think it's so important to learn different mediums. I would have never applied my corrections techniques if I didn't learn the, let's call it boldness, that you get when you paint with oils or acrylics even. Here's another example of how I correct small areas with gouache. In this part, I changed the shape of the eyebrow just a little. I slightly adjusted the tip and it worked really nicely. What I especially like is how clean the edge looks next to that white highlight area. And the Wailua paper is surprisingly sturdy, so no matter how badly I treated it, it took it like a total champ, and it did not break. Even my expensive paper actually sometimes break when I use too many of my correction techniques on one place. Then I moved on to the lips. I wanted to give the face a slightly doll-like look. For some reason, I just felt like going for a more doll-inspired style with this painting. Sometimes I simply feel like switching up my style, and I do get comments about that from time to time. People sometimes say I'm not consistent enough because I change things so often. And while that is a bit frustrating, I can't really help it. I like so many art styles and genres, and I would just feel too limited if I had to stick to one style all the time. There is just too much beautiful art to paint out there. Do you ever felt that way too? That you wanted to paint in a completely different style because it fascinated you so much? I certainly do. Unfortunately, all the time. But well, it is what it is. Next, I painted the hair, and this is another thing I wanted to show you technique-wise. You don't have to treat every part of your painting the same way. Different areas can have a completely different approach. So for the hair, I switched to a much looser, almost abstract technique. I just drew in the curls and didn't focus too much on tiny details. You can really see the difference between the very detailed face and the much softer, looser hair. Next, I tested some marker techniques to see if the paper can handle that too. With this dark brown Ohuhu marker, I added some subtle color variations and shading in the hair. I actually have both alcohol-based and water-based markers from them, and I honestly can't remember which one I used here. But for the way I use them, they don't behave that differently. I use them pretty interchangeably, and they mix well with my other materials. Also, I'm definitely not a marker expert. I just use them when they make sense for my process. For me, markers can be a really nice addition to certain painting techniques. In this case, I wanted to add some very soft, subtle gradients in the hair, and for that they worked really well. I also used them later on the butterflies, because one big advantage markers have over watercolor is that they can be incredibly vibrant. Some colors are really difficult to achieve with watercolor, almost impossible really. So for those very intense colors, I actually love using markers. This bright blue, for example, was perfect for the butterflies. So far, all the techniques I usually use on my expensive paper have worked perfectly on the Wailua paper too. And I really want to stress that because this is not something I normally see. I have worked with sketchbook paper and cheaper watercolor paper before, and usually the surface starts to break down, crumble, flake, or almost dissolve once you layer too much or work it a little harder. This paper did not do that at all. It feels strong and sturdy, and I think that is what really sets it apart from many other student quality papers. I have to say, I was genuinely surprised because Ohuhu is more of a student quality brand, but this paper impressed me. Since the markers worked so well on the paper, I decided to use them for the two little adorable sugar gliders in this painting too. I started with a simple underdrawing and filled in the base layers with the markers, but of course you can use watercolors for this step as well. I like to use them almost interchangeably, depending on the look and feeling I want for the piece, and for these little ones I felt the markers would work beautifully. Once the base layer was down, I switched straight to colored pencils, and you can really see how much of an impact that made. The pencils allowed me to add all those fine, soft fur details and bring more depth and texture into their tiny faces. To finish them off, I added those cute little highlights in the eyes, and that really gave them such a sweet, lively expression. I know I already talked about this earlier, but I think it's so cool that we have these two different surfaces. Many watercolor painters, me included, have their favorite paper, but sometimes you feel it needs a small change in texture to be perfect for what you're painting right now. So depending on your painting or the effect you want to try, you can simply switch sides and try out which side works better for your current painting. I think that is such a cool and unique idea. For the rest of the painting, I decided to go a bit more abstract and loose. After finishing the two sugar gliders, I worked on the butterflies and the crimson Hawaiian damselfly, which I talked about in the Halawa Color Pencils video. It is a rare and endangered species from Halawa Valley on Molokai Island in Hawaii, and it is actually the mascot they chose for their pencils. I thought that was such a cute and meaningful detail, so I really wanted to include it in the painting. Once those extra elements were finished and I had painted them in a more detailed way, I kept the rest of the piece very rough and painterly to create some contrast. I personally love having a balance between fine, rendered areas and more abstract, expressive areas, because otherwise everything can start to look a little too polished for my taste. I personally enjoy both impressionistic, painterly art and more detailed illustrative styles. So I always try to bring those two worlds together in my work. Especially because I don't have just one favorite style. This is a great way to combine everything I like in one painting. Now, before I get to my final review of the Wailua paper and share my final thoughts, I wanted to talk about another technique that I use at the end of almost every painting, whether it is a watercolor mixed media piece or an oil painting. I do not really have a proper name for it yet, so maybe you can help me find one. This is the stage where I bring everything together. I have painted each individual part of the composition on its own, but sometimes they do not fully connect yet. The values might need adjusting, or the contours, edges, and corners need a little more attention so the whole piece feels balanced. Some edges need to stay very crisp, while others need to become softer and more blurry. At the very end, I also added those beautiful splashing effects. And I think they helped connect the painting even more, because they tied together colors and areas that felt a bit separate before. So my final review of the Wailua paper. I personally think it is a really good paper for intermediate and beginner artists. The thing that stood out the most was definitely the sturdiness. Maybe that has something to do with the way the paper is made, with both sides being sized, but whatever the reason is, it feels incredibly strong. I actually think it might be sturdier than some of the more expensive papers I own. And when it comes to the watercolor behavior, I think this paper is very forgiving. And that is actually a big plus for many people. The surface also really reminds me of the Winsor and Newton matte watercolor papers I have worked with before. It has this soft, almost fabric-like feel to it, where the paint does not sit on top of the paper too aggressively, but also does not sink in too quickly. It gives you a bit of time to move things around, soften edges, and build up layers without feeling too unpredictable. so if you've used those kinds of papers before, that is probably the closest comparison I can think of. So to conclude, I really like the Wailua paper, and since I have 2 blocks of it now, I will definitely use them up for future studies. I know this video is sponsored, but I still want to say clearly that this does not feel like just a student quality paper to me. It is a genuinely good paper that you can use for any fine art piece as well as studies. So if you would like to try it yourself, you can follow the link in the video description or search for Wailua paper on Amazon. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you in the next one. Bye bye!